at 10. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And we begin the news at 10 tonight on the Weather Watch, tracking more rain on the way for your Friday. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. The day won't be a complete washout, but you're going to want to keep your umbrella handy.
Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank kicks us off tonight, timing everything out for your Friday. Rach.
Yeah, an umbrella handy and even a light jacket. Tomorrow we're looking at temperatures that will only be in the 50s to near 60 degrees, so it is going to be quite a bit cooler than it has been the last couple of days. Here are some of those showers starting to move in, but if you widen out the radar, you'll see way more rain on the way, and there's even a chance that we could see a few heavier downpours overnight as well. Temperatures are dropping back into the 50s, and I think we see some 40s as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. So 45 to 50 for an overnight low temperature. That rain getting more steady as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. So it is a wet start to the day. Temperatures beginning near 50 degrees. As we head towards lunchtime, there might be a little break in the action where it's just kind of cloudy. Temperatures will climb into the upper 50s to right around 60 degrees. And then we could see showers redevelop as we head through the afternoon and early evening, especially in the southern half of the state. Northern half of the state may end up staying mostly dry after the morning. So it really depends on where you live. We're going to show you the future radar so you can visualize this a little bit better and talk about the weekend, which again isn't a washout, but we still have a few showers to talk about for your Mother's Day. Full forecast coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. We are continuing to follow developing news out of Stratford tonight, where 4 people were killed early this morning on the Merritt Parkway during a wrong-way driving crash. State police tell us an SUV was traveling northbound in the southbound lanes around 1:45 a.m. when it crashed into a minivan, bursting into flame. Police say at the same time another crash happened in the northbound lanes when another driver stopped to help. Officers say the driver parked their car in the lane with no lights on, causing a state trooper to hit it. That trooper has minor injuries tonight. 3 victims in the vehicle that was traveling the wrong way have been identified as Stephen Rowland, Thomas Vitale, and Olga Vitale, all from Easton. The driver of the other car has not been named. Police are still investigating, and we'll bring you updates as we learn more.
The only suspect in a double homicide that happened nearly a decade ago has been convicted. A jury found Brandon Letman guilty of shooting and killing 21-year-old Ashley Spence and 19-year-old Cameron Mounds Jr. in Hartford. They were both found dead the night of June 21st, 2016. It took detectives 3 years to charge Letman. Letman was found guilty of murder, witness tampering, and illegal firearm possession. He'll be sentenced in July.
A scare at Windsor High School this morning. The entire building placed on lockdown after reports came in that a student had taken a gun onto campus. Police say the 16-year-old student was quickly identified and found with a fake gun. The lockdown lasted 30 minutes. It was lifted just minutes after the student was found and determined not to be a real threat. He was turned over to a parent and will appear in juvenile court.
Police in Westport are releasing video from a jewelry store smash and grab. This happened this afternoon. They hope someone will come forward and help them identify the suspects. This is surveillance footage. You can see the 2 burglars enter Lux, Bond, and Green on Main Street around 3 p.m. The store was open at the time, and the employees hid in the back to stay safe. It is hard to see them there in the corner. Oh, here we go. Better video for you. The pair had sledgehammers, masks, and gloves and began smashing display cases. They took off with thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. The owners are still assessing the exact amount of what they took. Police say the pair took off in a black BMW sedan towards Fairfield on Post Road East. If you can identify them or know where the pair fled to, give Westport Police a call.
A fraternity at the University of Connecticut is suspended tonight amid an investigation into alleged assault during initiation. The Lambda Theta Phi fraternity is suspended effective immediately after its former president, David Vallejo, was arrested in a hazing incident where he is accused of assaulting a pledge. Police say those alleged incidents happened at an off-campus residence. Vallejo is also facing similar charges in a separate case that police say did happen on campus. The university saying they have a zero-tolerance policy to behaviors that endanger others and is committed to providing safe, healthy, and respectful environments. Well, the 2024 legislative session is officially over, and if you felt like it went by quick, you're not alone.
Yeah, this year's session was short, and it left many pieces of legislation on the cutting room floor, much to the dismay of certain advocacy groups and state agencies.
But laws that made it through both chambers are already being signed into law by Governor Lamont. Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst is at the state capitol with a wrap on the session.
Fresh off some tension from not opening the state budget and the Federal American Rescue Plan Act spending plan passed Tuesday, lawmakers were ready to run out the clock until midnight.
The time for us to do our work has ended, and with that, I move we adjourn sine die.
So ordered. Sine die.
Hundreds of bills were still waiting for action Wednesday night. In the last 20 minutes of session, the House got through more than 20 pieces of legislation, moving so quickly the House chambers filled with the sound of nonstop voting bells. Upstairs, though, the Senate was a very different picture. Senators took up one of the biggest, most ambiguous bills with less than an hour to go, causing a lot of debate.
I don't know any other way to describe it. It's just nuts.
There were conversations this measure would go toward temporary benefits for striking workers. Senate President Martin Looney called that a great idea, but the legislation would only actually create a $3 million account for the state comptroller's office. This money is technically earmarked for low-income worker assistance, which lawmakers and the governor agreed felt vague.
I don't support it. If you want to have public dollars to support striking workers, have a vote up or down. I want public dollars to go support striking workers. That was not the bill that I think came out of there, and so let's just say I'm very skeptical.
Overall, though, Lamont saying he thought this was a productive session. But many big bills were left on the cutting room floor. A veto threat from the governor causing the AI regulations package to die, while lawmakers didn't get to the omnibus climate bill, one of Lamont's biggest priorities.
You know, the environment is obviously more of a priority for me than it is certainly for the Republicans in the legislature and even many of the Democrats. It's a nice to do, but not as big a priority as I think it should be.
The problem with climate bills is the planet is burning and we don't have even a year to waste. And while I'm sad that it didn't happen this year, it's far from over.
Before lawmakers gavelled out Wednesday, conversations were already being had about what to prioritize next year. Reporting at the state capitol, Emma Wolfhorst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And millions of dollars in expiring federal pandemic grants will go towards child care in our state. The General Assembly approved that measure before the close of session. Some $18 million will go to Care for Kids, which essentially means assistance will stay for families who already qualify. And another several million will go to programs for supporting child care and early childhood development. Connecticut, like much of the country, is dealing with the child care crisis. Daycare workers argue they're not getting paid enough, and families argue they need help affording child care. While industry experts were happy to see lawmakers pay attention to their needs this past session, they say the latest funding isn't enough to get anything solved.
Connecticut is just running to stay in place at this point. We are using the last of the federal dollars. We are using some state money. Really what that's doing is just maintaining the supply of childcare. It's making it easier for some families, those who are receiving Medicaid, to get access to dollars, but it's really not doing much to change the childcare system.
Sager says Connecticut has the potential to be more family-friendly by investing in child care, which would mean more families could access care and workers could get paid more. She wants lawmakers to understand this is an issue families deeply care about. She wants lawmakers to come up with the money next legislative session.
So this session may be over, but reactions are still pouring in over which bills are being signed into law and which ones couldn't clear the chambers. Our analysis continues on the free Fox 61 News app. You can download it by scanning the QR code here on your screen. You can also read more at fox61.com. Well, new tonight out of the Elm City, dozens of tenants from 4 different apartment complexes joined forces today but not to protest. Instead, members of 4 tenant unions gathered in front of City Hall to celebrate the fact that the company that owns their apartment buildings, Ocean Management, has agreed to recognize and negotiate with them. So far, Ocean Management has struck a union contract with residents at their Blake Street apartments. Now, people who live on Lenox Street, Quinnipiac Avenue, and State Street are looking for the same. But union members we spoke to say they are being met halfway.
This is actually a really exciting and historic moment where we thought that maybe we'd have to go march from here to his office, but instead he came to the table and is willing to negotiate with the leaders over lease terms, communication, fair rent, and maintenance.
Ocean Management owns 1,300 units in the greater New Haven area. Union members and tenants say they've had numerous reported problems go unaddressed in the past.
Countering hate was the theme tonight in Glastonbury. Town leaders and clergy gathered at First Church on Main Street. They joined state officials, a Holocaust survivor, and members of the community for the first ever event to remember the Holocaust, lighting candles signifying a commitment to stand up against hatred and to work for justice and peace. Speakers explain how such horrors could happen.
None of the Nazi perpetrators put on trial denied the reality of the systematic murders that took place. Their most common excuse at Nazi war trials was that they were just following orders.
Glastonbury High School students who won an essay contest about battling hate and prejudice also took part in the event. A grim statistic here for you: 1 in 10 Americans under the age of 40 has ever heard of the Holocaust.